Tonight, the low-key revelation of a high-stakes conversation. What the Prime Minister revealed about his phone call with Donald Trump.
I last spoke to the President Monday evening.
And an early window into how Mark Carney and his cabinet will tackle the fall budget.
You're under arrest.
All right.
Calm down.
The complex cult compound raid and clues that helped the RCMP close in on the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada. Plus, unvarnished warnings about a cosmetic chemical.
We need to comply with all the different regulations across the world.
What Europe is banning and Canada is not.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. The Prime Minister and his inner circle assembled in Toronto today for a critical huddle ahead of the fall sitting of Parliament in Ottawa in just 12 days. Two major headlines emerging from that meeting: a glimpse of what the fall budget could look like, and a high-stakes call the Prime Minister had earlier this week. And that is where our Judy Trin starts us off.
Ahead of the Cabinet Planning Forum, the Prime Minister disclosed information about an unscheduled top-level call.
I last spoke to the President Monday evening. I spoke at length.
Over the next 2 days, Cabinet ministers will get more details about what Mark Carney learned in his conversation with Donald Trump. The U.S. is set to begin public consultations on the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement in a few weeks. But Canadian pollsters invited to present say the trade war is no longer the top priority and ranks behind the cost of living and job creation.
So this is important. People are less afraid of tariffs and Trump.
The focus of the government from the start has been on what we can control.
That includes deciding which major national projects, from ports to pipelines, to put on the fast track, and rolling out the Build Canada Homes initiative to build housing on federal land. The government has yet to map out the costs, but
C'est un budget d'austérité et d'investissement en même temps.
In French, Carney said the budget will embody both austerity and investment.
This budget is about fairness for every generation.
The Liberal government has not passed a budget since April 2024, but it will table one in October.
Federal government has been growing spending as a whole at over 7% a year on average for over a decade. That's twice the rate of growth of the economy on average. It's not a sustainable situation. So we need to rein in spending. We need to find efficiencies.
On Thursday, Cabinet will get insight from an American policy analyst who helped draft Project 2025. That's the right-wing governing blueprint that influences many in the Trump administration. Omar.
All right, Judy Trin in Toronto. And joining us now is our chief political correspondent, Vashi Capellos, who is also in Toronto tracking the developments at that cabinet meeting. And Vashi, let's get straight to that call that Judy was talking about between the Prime Minister and the U.S. President. Are we any closer to a deal?
I think two things strike me from my conversations with people in and around the Prime Minister at this meeting. The first is they're happy to report a second call after so many weeks of no talk between the President and the Prime Minister. The focus, it appears, is solely right now on those punishing sectoral tariffs on steel, aluminum, copper, and the auto sector. But they are unwilling to say what they think Trump will do, aka will he actually reduce those tariffs in a meaningful way for Canadians? They are not willing to describe that as progress so far, but they are happy that those conversations are happening now on a more frequent basis, Omar.
The U.S.-Canada relationship, of course, a key priority. The Prime Minister also talking today about reining in spending in the upcoming federal budget in October. At the same time, actually, there have been massive pledges to areas like defense, for example. So where is the government intending on cutting?
Your question, Omar, hits the nail on the head. The Prime Minister today called it an austerity and investment budget. An austerity budget, like what exactly does that mean? So far, there have been no indications other than the public service or spending on the public service as to where they'd cut. They just say they're going to spend a lot on defense, as you mentioned, and other programs, but they have not indicated where those cuts will come from, Omar.
All right, Vashi, thank you for this insight tonight. And not far from that cabinet meeting today was the Conservative leader, also in the Greater Toronto area, with a pointed message to the Liberals to eliminate the temporary foreign worker program. CTV's Rachel Aiello on what Pierre Poilievre claims that will accomplish and the warnings from critics.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre wants Canada's temporary foreign worker program scrapped. He says corporations aren't hiring enough young and unemployed Canadians.
In most cases, I don't think they do need temporary foreign workers. I think they hire them because they can pay them less.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's committed to reducing immigration, but this program has a role to play.
When I talk to businesses around the country, particularly in Quebec, but elsewhere across the country, their number one issue is tariffs, and their number two issue is access to temporary foreign workers.
Poilievre's plan would provide a carve-out for hard-to-fill agricultural labor, though this eighth-generation farmer said the call to stop issuing visas for any new workers coming in has tilled up some concern.
I don't know how you do away with a temporary foreign worker program in totality without potentially harming the agriculture streams.
The Conservatives also floated an up to 5-year transition period for regions with ultra-low unemployment. But both small businesses and migrants' rights advocates say Poilievre's proposal is an unrealistic fix.
These are not summer youth jobs, right? So linking the two is as bizarre as sort of linking, the wages in Ontario with the weather in Saskatchewan.
Shutting down the temporary foreign worker program would shut down a ton of small businesses in rural, remote communities. This is a really, really poor idea.
Last year, the federal government introduced a series of limits to reduce reliance on the temporary foreign worker program. Today, the Federal Immigration Department said fewer of these workers entered Canada in the first half of this year than they did in the same time period in 2024. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. Ever since the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada and her followers moved into the small Saskatchewan village of Richmond, locals have been asking when police would get involved. That answer came today. CTV's Angela Stewart has the moment the cult leader live-streamed her own arrest after the RCMP raided a compound.
You're under arrest.
All right.
Calm down.
It all unfolded at 4:30 this morning when RCMP executed a search warrant at the village's former school. Mounties moved in after a report of someone in the building being in possession of a firearm.
Saskatchewan RCMP began an extensive investigation. This included careful monitoring of any risk to public safety and to the community of Richmond.
There were more than 30 police vehicles and dozens of officers involved in the operation, including members of SWAT teams and police dog services. In all, 16 people were arrested, 5 men and 11 women. Among them, the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo.
She presented herself and identified herself as that and released it to the public, so I can confirm that she is in custody. But beyond that, I can't identify anybody else.
Didulo, the leader of this conspiracy group, has been in Richmond since 2023 after being forced out of the town of Kamsack. Police say the compound has been on their radar for some time, and they finally gathered enough evidence to move in.
Through the course of any of our investigations, before we take any action, we have to make sure that we do meet the thresholds that the courts will be satisfied that we can enter into private property.
I think that this is check, if it's not checkmate.
Richmond resident Vanessa Johnson says for the last 2 years, the cult has created worry in the town among residents.
I mean, they've got surveillance, they had spotlights, they were threatening us, they were always being shady. You couldn't take your dog for a walk in the park. You couldn't take your kids over there without them videotaping you.
Johnson says the arrest is a win for the community.
She's no queen, she's no cult leader, she's no one to follow. It's a win for us. It's a win for us regardless.
RCMP have 24 hours to press charges. Otherwise, those arrested could be released. As of right now, 4 replica handguns have been seized while the investigation continues. Angela Stewart, CTV News, Richmond.
The woman known as the Ketamine Queen pleaded guilty today to selling Matthew Perry the drug that killed him. Josephine Sangha made good on a plea deal she signed last month and pleaded guilty to 5 federal charges in front of Perry's mother, who was in the courtroom. The Canadian actor was found dead in his LA home in 2023. Perry had struggled with addiction and was using ketamine to treat depression, but had sought out more than his doctor would prescribe. Growing calls tonight for the release of all files relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Survivors speaking out at an emotional news conference in Washington today, joined by Democrats and Republicans in a rare collective call for more transparency. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey.
One by one.
I have never been more scared in my life than I was that first time that he hurt me.
Self-described Jeffrey Epstein victims spoke up on Capitol Hill, some for the first time.
We were groomed, we were manipulated, and we were taken advantage of.
They shared details of abuse at the hands of the convicted sex offender and disgraced financier, whose 2019 death in custody was ruled a suicide by hanging.
He gave me an ultimatum: either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage.
The group called on Congress to support a bipartisan motion and release all the related files on Epstein and any of his associates.
The perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C.
No one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law.
Tuesday, the House Oversight Committee released 33,000 pages of documents, but the vast majority of them were already out there.
We're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
And this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
The survivors say they're working on their own list of Epstein's associates or clients frustrated by inaction, but then suggested they may not release the names after all, frightened for their own safety. Omar?
All right, Abigail, thank you. China's massive military parade yesterday sent a message to Washington, but a hot mic moment also revealed a candid conversation between President Xi Jinping and the Russian president. As the two leaders walked in with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin appeared to say human organs can be continuously transplanted and that you can achieve immortality. China's president appears to muse that this century humans may live up to 150 years. The health discussion was caught on a live stream by Chinese state television. A tourist destination that has become increasingly popular with Canadians is in mourning tonight after Lisbon's world-famous Gloria funicular crashed, killing at least 15 people and injuring more than a dozen others. CTV's Heather Wright on what happened and what we know about the victims.
People raced toward a railway car moments after it derailed and careened down a steep street. Lisbon's iconic Elevador de Gloria, crashing shortly after 6 p.m. local time. At least 15 people were killed, 18 others injured, 5 of them critically. The funicular, a type of cable railway, climbs steep hills in Portugal's capital and is popular among tourists. We've identified several foreign surnames among the victims, says this spokesman for the Portugal Emergency Services, but adds no nationalities have been confirmed. In a statement, Global Affairs Canada says it is aware of the funicular derailment in Lisbon and extends its deepest sympathies to all those affected. Global Affairs Canada is not aware of any Canadian citizens being impacted by this incident. The Elevador de Gloria opened in 1885 and carries more than 3.5 million passengers every year.
Tonight, Portugal's president has offered his condolences to the families affected by this tragedy and declared a national day of mourning for tomorrow as an investigation into what caused this derailment gets underway. Omar.
Heather Wright on that tragedy in Portugal. Heather, thank you. Back here at home, a frightening wildfire forced the shutdown of BC's Coquihalla Highway in both directions. The major highway connecting the Lower Mainland and the BC interior is closed from Merritt to Hope. Warnings across much of the province tonight that smoke and high temperatures could have an impact on health over the next 72 hours. Environment Canada has expanded air quality bulletins to more than 30 areas across BC. There is new reaction tonight to Ontario Premier Doug Ford's publicity stunt, pouring out a bottle of Crown Royal. His protest over parent company Diageo's decision to move a plant south of the border could have an impact on farmers across the prairies. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel.
So this is what I think about Crown Royal. That's what they could do. And I think everyone else should do the same thing.
Pouring out his frustrations, Premier Doug Ford's photo op was seen across the country.
It is a publicity stunt in a sense. It is good TV. And I do see potentially a boycott, right, picking up steam. Just as we saw when the United States put tariffs on us and we took the booze off the shelves.
You want a shot?
Well, there's concern that if consumers put a cap on Crown Royal, there could be a spillover, draining the profits of farmers in the prairies.
There's a rye field 2 miles away. You know, my neighbor's farm in this area of southwest Manitoba, rye is actually a very important crop.
Roughly 80% of the rye used in Crown Royal is grown on Manitoba farms, where tariffs have in part already taken a bite out of the margins grain farmers rely on.
So if we lose the premium market that is Crown Royal, then that definitely is a hit to the bottom line for rye growers.
Crown Royal's parent company Diageo directly employs more than 500 people across Canada, while supporting more than 9,700 jobs in different sectors. With large distilleries and bottling facilities in Gimli, Manitoba, and Valleyfield, Quebec, Premier Legault's office declined to comment on Ford's push to shelve Crown Royal, though in Manitoba, that province's top politician is encouraging Canadians to responsibly raise a glass.
Crown Royal is made in Gimli, Manitoba, so that is something that Canadians should buy and continue to have access to.
Union leaders are also sharing their concerns that with one bottling facility already on its way to the U.S., Diageo could eventually move its Manitoba distillery south of the border and even use U.S. grains to further cut costs. Though in an email, the company has reiterated its commitment to its Canadian operations. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up.
This is what inspired the caution.
The nail polish chemical Europe is banning, but Canada isn't. Plus, how some hoop dreams came true for young fans in New Brunswick. A common ingredient in nail polish is coming under new scrutiny tonight. It's now banned in the European Union, but still considered safe in North America. CTV's Andrew Johnson on what it is and how some companies are taking proactive measures.
The gel on these nails will soon be missing a key ingredient.
We are proactively reformulating everything anyways, just because we sell worldwide and we need to comply with all the different regulations across the world.
Burnaby, BC-based Accents is reformulating its gel nail products to remove the trimethylbenzyl diphenylphosphine oxide, also known as TPO. TPO causes the polish to harden and gives nails that glossy shine when exposed to UV light, a process known as curing. But studies in animals have raised concerns about its effects on fertility and reproductive health, and it's now banned in the European Union.
This ingredient, TPO, has been found to have negative reproductive effects in animal studies. To my knowledge, there have not been controlled trials in humans, but due to the concern in animal studies, this is what inspired the caution.
The EU historically has taken a more aggressive stance on chemicals in cosmetics, often banning substances that pose a theoretical risk to human health before studies are done on people. We reached out to Health Canada but haven't received a response. One dermatologist is not expecting a ban in Canada anytime soon.
There are regulatory bodies that will have to really do a deep dive into the data to decide if this is a true real-world risk that could be problematic for humans.
As companies like Accents now reformulate their products without TPO, if you're concerned, you can also try hypoallergenic gel polishes that are TPO-free. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead, switching gears. Why Toronto's hottest car race is moving out of town. A Canadian star is holding court at the U.S. Open.
Aliassime makes a return to the US Open semi-finals.
Felix Auger-Aliassime topped Alex de Minaur to advance to the Final Four. The 25th seeded Montreal native has now upset 3 higher seeds in a row. The Honda Indy is relocating from downtown Toronto to Markham, northeast of the city. The race has been held at Exhibition Place in Toronto since 1986. Toronto's mayor said it wouldn't be possible to host the World Cup and the race next year. Though drivers at this year's Indy also complained about the road conditions. And movie buffs are counting down to the 50th edition tomorrow of the Toronto International Film Festival, one of the world's largest. Close to 300 titles will be screened over 11 days with some major Hollywood A-listers in town. And CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo will be live from the center of the action tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. on CTV and ctvnews.ca. Still ahead, why these kids will never forget their second day back at school. Basketball star Pascal Siakam is in New Brunswick tonight, where he received an honorary doctorate from UNB. But before that, the former NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors, now with the Indiana Pacers, surprised some young fans at a local school. CTV's Avery McCrae on the inspiring lesson.
It's a second day of classes students at Gagetown School won't ever forget. Unknown to the kids, NBA star Pascal Siakam paid a visit to the small town kindergarten to grade 12 school.
I went insane. I was sweating so much, I could not handle it.
I was just extremely surprised and didn't know what to say.
In his first ever visit to New Brunswick, the 2019 champion with the Toronto Raptors spent time with students to celebrate their achievements with Data Dunkers, an innovative basketball and data science learning experience for students that Siakam partners with through his PS43 Foundation.
Technology is the future, and we just want to continue to empower kids through technology and through education. And for us, like, this is a perfect way to do it. Basketball and data together, like, that's a perfect kind of like marriage.
Not only did students get to show the Indiana Pacers forward what they have achieved through his program, they also got to ask hard-hitting questions alongside students who joined them virtually from Sunny Brae Middle School in Moncton.
We are making core memories here and inspiring the students. In the context of data science and basketball, I don't think it gets any better than that. Perfect way to start the year.
That's the most special part about it, is the fact that we can go in places where it's not expected. I remember for me as a young kid, you know, going to Basketball Without Borders in South Africa and like seeing NBA players, and like it changed my whole mindset about, you know, wanting to be in the NBA. Like it just gave me a different perspective that I think helped me like shape the person I am today. So that's what I'm hoping to do also.
It's another chapter in Siakam's growing relationship with New Brunswick. UNB offers a Pascal Siakam scholarship awarded to a student from his home country of Cameroon enrolled in computer science.
It really allows them more time to study, invest in their future, and so for them it's a game changer.
Avery McCrae, CTV News, Gagetown, New Brunswick.
An extra special start to the school year. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.